YOWAH is in the Cunnamulla mineral field area. This is a famous old opal mining field, the YOWAH. In fact, it was one of the first opal fields ever in Australia. Just as the sign reads, Miner's Mailbox, 6 miles to the fields. And on the fields we are here, this is the Gidgee Patch. This patch is held under lease by the 2 people in the foreground there, Jean and Don Walters. The people we see in the background are visitors and tourists, plus friends, and they're raking down the old dumps after pieces of matrix and opal that the early day miners left behind. The YOWAH opal field would not be big as far as some of the opal fields go. Possibly between 100 and 200 acres at a maximum has been worked, all told. There we've seen Jean Walters pick up a piece of matrix and put in a tin, another piece apparently by the looks of it. Don, in a moment, finds quite a nice piece, but unfortunately the camera cannot reproduce it well. We'll see him in a few moments pick it up. This was quite a beautiful piece of matrix. Quite unfortunate we couldn't get it to come out on the film. This area is commonly known as Evans Claim, but it is registered with the Mines Department as the Great Extended. It was a lease, actually. Mr. Evans found this area when deepening an old prospect shaft and put down a number of shafts and opened up into quite a big field. Mr. Evans then formed a company with a Mr. Tully, a Mr. Cornworth and a Mr. Wollaston. Incidentally, Mr. Wollaston was the man who put all the Australian opal from the various fields on the market throughout the world. He was the man that put the early Queensland opal on the map. He put White Cliffs, Lightning Ridge and the South Australian. He is the man that done the hard work. Of course, many other dealers and buyers followed behind his track to expand on his openings. Most of the work taking place on the YOWAH today, with very few exceptions, is pulling down the old dumps and treating them in various forms and ways for material lost and left behind by the early miners. This gentleman shows us a couple of pieces of nice opal which he hasn't just dug out. He gave them a wash to make them a little clean so we could see what they look like, to give us some idea of the type of material that he is getting here on the Evans Claim. Here's one man sinking a shaft or pulling the windlass here, pulling the bucket. So we still see a little bit of underground work is taking place here also. This is a view of the flat, known today to the miners as Whiskey Flat, but the old-time miners it was known as the Old Flat. Possibly the first workings done on the YOWAH was done here. Just another view of some of the old flat workings. About 5 or 6 acres, all told, would pull them all up. Just some of the methods used by the visitors and miners on the YOWAH for separating the dirt, looking for chips of matrix and opal. This is the Southern Cross workings. This was a famous working. It was also a lease. It was the first lease actually taken out in Queensland, we believe, on opal. It was taken up by a Mr. Bond. It was actually first discovered in the year 1883. It was work very successful up to the death of the manager of the mines. It is wrote up in the records that one dividend was paid before his death, and after his death, works seemed to have ceased. There's nothing like putting Mum to work on the shovel, and she's given us quite a good demonstration here. The YOWAH opal fields is quite a haven for the tourists. This is the place for the tourists to come to. Very, very few people ever leave here without a little bit of matrix or opal that they noodle or find or rag out of the dumps. It has many advantages for the tourists over most opal fields. There's a beautiful bore that runs right through the centre of the fields, and so there's a supply of nice fresh water. This is quite an attraction. Actually, the field is about 60 miles by road from YOWAH. The road is quite good, actually. The Walters working another claim they have on a section of the Southern Cross. Pull up the dirt, noodle it through. Actually, they're going through old work dirt. What actually takes place is the miners and the residents on the field open up whole shafts, commonly called pulling a shaft to the miner, and in this case the Walters opened this old shaft on the Southern Cross and found it was a grave. It could possibly have been the manager of the original workings. Police was called in on this occasion and the grave was closed down. Just another of the many methods used in separating the mollic and any pieces of matrix that may be in amongst it. Somehow or other the cameraman got in the film here and he's walking around the grave, the top of the grave on the Southern Cross. This is one of the very few mines on the YOWAH opal field being worked underground. Here we have a very, very plain view, an idea of exactly how these YOWAH nuts, as they are termed, or little boulders about as big as one's fist, are formed. As can be seen, they lay in a belt, or in a bed, in the sandstone itself, and form a common level which dips up and down. They don't all carry matrix or opal. Of course, if they did, we know it'd be worthless, because just by the amount of them which there are. But when these beds of nuts or boulders dip away into a low level, it's here we expect to find matrix or opal. This will give you some idea just what it looks like in an opal miner's mine. Actually, the sandstone itself is quite soft, the underlaying and overlaying sandstone, and can be picked very easily. But the band of boulders seem to be cemented together with an ironstone solution. Just a view down one of the drives. There's about 250 foot of tunnel in this particular mine. This mine is situated on the field known as Brandy Gully. This is another section of the YOWAH opal field. The miner, his name is Ted Pigram, quite a nice chap, and he's pointing out here various things about the nuts and the boulders, explaining how the dip takes place, and when they dip away, how the opal is expected to be caught on these lower ebbs. Notice behind him that dip of the band. Well, just in this section where he is now, produced some very nice material, and there's a very spectacular view of a dip as he walks past it there, how the band has left its common level and gone down into a dip. Now he's pointing out some floaters here. These are big boulders, actually. They're underlaying, as he's pointing out, they're underlaying the standard band of matrix or YOWAH nuts.
This film was taken sometime in 1967 or thereabouts.
What they look like. They look like quite a conglomeration, but when taken out, they come out in solid little nuts, segregated, of course. They're just like a man's fist. Like all mining, a lot of mullock is made and it has to be cleaned out. This gentleman has got a unique little system of his own. He works by himself and he has no mate. This mine's about 40 foot deep and he pulls all his own dirt, as we shall see very soon. That was tipped into a 48-gallon drum, a square drum actually, which we shall see at a later date. Just a little look around the opal field now, in general, particularly at the camps. The camps are basically all along the bore drain, which is on the left-hand side of this film. We didn't quite get it into the picture. Just another one of the camps. Miners live reasonably rough, but make themselves quite comfortable. Plenty of room on this field for anybody who feels energetic and wishes to put down new shafts, so there's many untried areas. We even have a hand washing machine here, a lady at work with it. Camp and home of Don and Jean Walters. Here they are, meeting the cameraman himself. Somehow or other the camera's running along there and taking the film. These people mainly supply the lavatory clubs throughout Australia with material in the form of the ironstone matrix. Move back to our friend, Mr. Ted Pigram, who's ready to pull up his big 48-gallon drum of mullock, which he's just mined. Please note the way he does it. He's got a cable hooked onto the front of that old Chev utility, and he backs back with just taking the weight of the drum now. That's how heavy it is. See how it made the old utility bounce? He backs back to a predetermined distance, actually onto a little log with his back wheels. Of course, as he goes back, up comes the drum. We shall see a unique way of emptying it in a moment. Actually has a guy rope running out there onto another pole, and he pushes the drum out. It has a trapdoor bottom. We'll see him pull the pin out of the trapdoor in a moment and dip and dump this 48-gallon of dirt, which is quite a few hundredweight of dirt, or mullock as the miner calls it. He does this about 4 times a day. This is just about bye-bye to the Ariable field, and we hope that you have learned just a little about the field, what conditions are like up there, and someday you may venture to have a look at it.